You cannot fight us. You cannot escape.
He was my friend.
You can only play the game.
I still want to escape, right?
Or be punished.
All right. I am here with Jackie and Cara, and we're talking about Werewolf Game, one of Tony Todd's last movies. And this just so you guys know, this came out on my birthday. So it was so awesome to see it as a birthday gift, and I absolutely loved it.
Right on, man. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. So my first question is, what brought the idea of bringing this the party game to life in a horrific, in a horror kind of way? How did this all begin?
Hmm. Well, I wrote this script during COVID, and I was very inspired by films like what's the movie?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Oh yeah, big
Love that movie. I love that movie.
classic.
Deeply inspired by Battle Royale, and I've always been inspired by the death game genre. And I was really just interested in sort of writing a movie where the themes of danger were just around conversations with your fellow people.
That's interesting. Yeah, I love Battle Royale. That's like one of my all-time favorite movies. And speaking of Death Game, there's another one that came out during the pandemic that I absolutely love, and I'm always championing it. It's called Triggered, and it had a similar concept where 9 people, they were former high school friends, they're forced into a death game by their former teacher by strapping suicide bomb vests on them. And
Oh damn.
and with each death, they can look at each death, they steal that person's time added onto their vest.
Oh
So
my god.
so it's
That out. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
I think it's on Tubi right now, but I ended up like championing this movie, and I'm now like friends with like some of the actors in it from that movie. It's based in South Africa, which is
Oh,
amazing. Yeah.
awesome.
But
Awesome.
so I would highly recommend that. If you like Battle Royale, you're definitely gonna want to see Trigger. And I know it's on Tubi right now for sure. So I would recommend that one to you guys as someone who likes the death game genre.
Yeah.
So, what was it like working with the legend himself, Tony Todd, as this was one of
Oh
his
my gosh. Well, first I just love to shout him out as a really compassionate, charismatic, highly creative individual. The man was an artist and he had a ton of vision. He came to the table with a ton of ideas. Like he clearly cared about the character and making the judge as real and like multi-dimensional as possible. He was not interested in viewing the judge as just a villain bad guy. He was like, I can't look at him as a bad guy. I look at him as me. What would I be like if I had to go through this process and play this role? So he had a very humanist approach to his work and how he sort of emotionally approached embodying it. So from a just creative standpoint, it was very inspiring to work with him. And he was also just very, very good to us and was very down for the cause. You know, he knew that we were first-time feature filmmakers, and this is a really important endeavor for us, obviously. And he really like met us where we were at, and we were able to really actively collaborate. And it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had an incredible heart, and he had so much passion that he brought to it. And
Definitely. Shout out Tony. Rest in power.
I love the fact that you guys made the werewolves in this film. You know, of course, it's going to be people, but the fact that they look like metallic werewolves in this, with the suits, and I thought that was a pretty cool concept. How did that come about?
Thank you. Thank you. That was a multi-step process. We did a lot of sketches. I think you maybe kind of sort of initially channeled like the idea, like you had sort of a vision for what you wanted this to look like.
yeah.
And then sort of started telling me about it. And I made some like very rough sketches and fleshed it out a little bit. And then we worked with this really awesome concept artist named Cal. And she like added more detail and made it a little more multidimensional. But you also had the vision like for the gauntlets. That was just like something that just came to you, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was reading, I don't know if you've read the manga Berserk.
Yeah, we
So
I went to
Yeah.
the library. We actually have it. So yes, I'm
Have it
well
at your
familiar.
library? Oh my God.
So
Hell yeah.
the visuals of Berserk have always really have been extremely evocative for me. And you can even sort of see a little bit of Griffith's mask in
Yeah,
the
the
judges
judge's
and
mask.
in the eyes. Um,
It's
and
great.
I was also playing a lot of, still am playing a lot of Elder Scrolls at the time. So just the idea of like armor
Dude,
and
I'm playing Elder Scrolls. I play Elder Scrolls Online. So yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually playing Elder Scrolls Online when I was writing that. So the idea of the gauntlets and all that, they were all, I was like, I
Oh,
gotta
that's
find a
awesome.
way to include that.
That's cool. Yeah, I thought of when I saw the werewolves, I thought of a movie that came out in the 90s called Project Metal Beast, where the CIA like puts like this synthetic metal skin onto like a FBI agent who was dead, but it turned out before he was killed by a werewolf, and then he's
Oh,
resurrected back to life, and he becomes like a metallic werewolf and like killing like
yes.
all these. I was like, holy, like that's what I thought of when I saw it. I was like
What's that called?
Project Metal Beast, and I think Kane Hodder played the werewolf in that. I think he, if I remember right, I think Kane Hodder was actually the werewolf in that movie, like in the suit. So I
Oh,
thought
that's
that was
so
pretty
sick.
wicked. Yeah, it's
Amazing.
see how old I am. I grew up watching these 80s and 90s horror films. That just shows you how old I am.
Oh man, that stuff is so inspirational, and there's so much incredible filmmaking from the 80s. I'm very inspired, like, by Carpenter, obviously,
Mhm.
one of the OGs, but there's so much great stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you also got to work with Bai Ling. I know her role's more smaller compared to some of the others, but she's one of those
Fine.
actors
She,
who will make the most of her screen time no matter how small of a role it is.
oh yeah, she's one of those people who just the amount of raw presence and energy she has, just as a human being, let alone as an actor, is really wild and impressive and very fun to be around. Like,
Yeah.
she was just so herself, just completely showed up, really gung ho.
Yeah.
I love Bai.
Yeah. We only had Bylene for
One,
half a day,
yeah.
and it was during the day when we only had the entire cast.
Oh,
So
The first day of
we and
filming
it was
too,
the
right?
first day
It
of
was
filmmaking.
wild.
So one of the first shots we had to do of the whole shoot was like 4 takes with Bylene, and that was her day. And so
oh,
to be able to sit down with her, focus in, bring all the stakes up, make them alive and real, and just to have her go. I was actually like extremely impressed with
Yeah.
her professionalism and just the energy and
Yeah.
pizzazz that she brought to the set.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and throughout the film, I kept hoping like certain characters will be survive this. I'm rooting for like this character. I'm rooting for, and then there's other ones I absolutely hated. I hope they get something bad happens to them. So I love that type of movie where you're trying to root for certain characters, but at the same time you're wishing other characters to just get theirs and done. And I like that you brought that eclectic to the eclectic thing to the cast. Like, they're all different personalities and all that. And that's what makes a film work for me. Like if you have these eclectic personalities on these characters and yet they somehow can work together or go against each other, that chemistry works. And that's how I felt with this film. It felt like it worked.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
So how long did shooting take, and did you face anything like in terms of issues and whatnot, considering this was your first feature film together? Like, was there anything that you can tell us?
Absolutely. So we had 19 shooting days, I believe. And that 19 shooting days was spread over like 24 days-ish. So we were doing like our first week was like 6 days back to back. Pretty much all of these days went into overtime. So our days were very full. And due to the very short filming timeline and schedule that we had, every day had to be like back to back setups. So there was one day, the whole first week we shot by location. So the full first week was everything in the warehouse. So every one of those scenes is very emotionally charged. It's very tense. So the amount of tension that the actors had to really bring every day was really significant. And I was very impressed with like how they were able to just keep bringing that. Um, we had days where we had just a wild amount of setups where it was like, okay, we've got 12 people to get coverage for to react in this one scene. Some of them, might only have a half day. So just the amount of, we had a couple folks on our crew, our whole crew was incredible. Our whole cast was incredible. Like
Great, yeah.
the crew and the cast really, like, they knew that we were on a tight schedule, tight budget, you know, first time indie. So everybody knew that like every second counted. So the teamwork that happened was really one of the biggest things that I just took away with so much gratitude, because how the team came together to just really dial in their role to help us make things go quickly so that we could just get everything was amazing. We had some folks on our crew, you know, who'd done a lot of reality film work, some folks who'd done narrative stuff. So we had like a really great blend of people who both knew how to sink in and honor the creative, as well as dial in and just rock and roll through everything. So like it was very intense. It was like a 20-day sprint. And on our days off, those were days that myself and Jackie and our like right hand people, our first AD, our cinematographer, like those were not off days. Those were days where we were working all day to make sure that the next day when we were filming was set up to go.
Yeah, yeah. We had to do a lot of last minute. We lost some locations in the middle of the shoot. So there were locations where I had to arrive on the day with like a full shot set up and figure out like on the fly,
How we
okay,
were gonna shoot.
how we're gonna block it, how we're gonna set it up, like basically taking months of work and being like,
Improvising.
okay, that was nice as an idea to start with,
Yeah.
but now we're here now. And it was really magical how everybody came together and was so supportive and yeah, made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, this is a great movie, and I'm hoping people are seeing this. It's not just because of Tony Todd's last film, but the plot is amazing. And for me, it makes you want to cheer for certain characters, makes you not want to cheer for certain characters. But overall, a great, smooth like film that just works. And you know, once again, Tony Todd like ups the game with this, and I loved his role as the judge. And I agree with you. He brought a humanistic effect to that. He doesn't just come off as a one-dimensional character. He really shows that emotion, especially in the finale when that's where he really like amps it up. And overall, this is a great film.
Thank you so much. Who are your favorite characters? Who are you rooting for?
Ooh, man, I gotta think about that.
Or who did you want to die the most?
Oh God, that's a good question. You know what? I gotta go back to my character list here because it's been a while since I've seen it. When I first review it, and I was like, all right, I watched it like maybe one more time, but I'm gonna go through that. Hold on, who I want, who I love this movie.
Hell yeah.
All right, so I was hoping Monica would. I was rooting for Monica. I absolutely love
Hell
Lydia.
yeah.
She's fantastic. I love her in anything she's in.
Yeah,
Robert Picardo
Lydia.
was kind of mixed on that. I'm like, I don't know, maybe him.
Uh-huh,
Maybe. I was like, all right. Matt, I absolutely hated with a passion. I was like, Matt, I was hoping Matt got his. I couldn't stand him. Like he was too full of himself, in my opinion. And yeah, so I would say that, but I like Pepper. Pepper was really good too. Tila Dunn did a
Yeah.
good job as that character.
He was fantastic.
Yeah. I gotta admit, I was a little shocked about Biling. I was like, all right, I kind of was hoping, but then I thought of another movie she did where I think it was Scalper, where she's the first victim of that film. So I
Yeah.
figured, all right, she's gonna play another first victim. I totally get it. I think she likes doing that, like just to do any role.
Bai Ling was one of the last people we cast. And originally that was a part that was going to be for a male dentist.
Oh yeah, the
A
character
male
changed a lot
dentist.
actually.
And then when Bai Ling was interested in being in the film, I was like, well, let's see if we can like write something new here. Because working with her was an absolute treat.
And we knew that we needed somebody who could bring a lot of intensity, even though they're not going to be around super long, who could make an impact and really like ratchet the stakes up in that first scene.
And she did. She really brought that emotion to that table, willing to sacrifice herself for the others. Like, I felt it. And, such a great job on that. Such a great job with that role. So if she's watching this, Ling, you were excellent in this
I
movie.
would love you.
Yeah,
So
everybody was amazing.
so what is next for you guys? Are you going to be working on another project together, or maybe even
Oh yes.
Well,
So
well, can I just say something?
please.
Something that we haven't really said yet is that about half the production, or not half, but half, maybe like a third of the team that we worked with for Werewolf Game is a team we've worked with for like the last 8 years, and we've been slowly like working up together, and we have some really cool projects coming up. Did you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, yeah, just to add to that context. So I mean, Jackie and I have known each other since film school. We literally met on the first day, and it was
oh
like,
wow.
and over the years we like sort of stayed friends, and then we started working together, and then became best friends, and then business partners, and then partners, and just like we're like, what? How many levels of life intimacy and power can we do together? So obviously we like working together. So we do. So we've been creating a lot of projects together. So we
Yeah.
basically built this team that we took to the West Coast, and then we partnered with some folks out there, and we had this like fun, East Coast, West Coast team. And a lot of those folks also worked with us on a short film called Be Not Afraid that's going to be going into festivals soon. That's about a mercenary exorcist that I play named Asher. And we have a feature in development that's based off of that character.
Oh
And then
wow.
also working on the director's cut of Werewolf Game.
That's awesome. So I will ask this. You'll be really cool because Jackie, you mentioned you're influenced by like Battle Royale and Berserk and all that. If
Oh,
there ever came a chance that Berserk would become a live action movie, I think you guys would be ones to tackle that one. Because if someone who loves that, as long as you guys get to do it with your creative control, no producers getting in the way, or because we've seen that happen with some of these other live action adaptations of manga and anime, but if they ever did a Berserk movie, I was definitely would root for you guys to take that one on.
Albert, that is like the greatest compliment you could possibly give me.
I,
Thank you so
I will
much.
cherish that. I will cherish
I'm
that.
taking
Thank
that to
you.
the
Yeah,
grave.
I will, and write resume. I will
Oh yeah,
write
we're
resume
gonna start working on it right now.
wherever
Yeah,
there's an
yeah,
application.
that'd be all. Or and I remember years ago they talked about doing a battle royale remake, and I'm like, I don't know if they can remake that one. I mean, the second one, you know, I'm pretty sure you saw the second battle royale movie.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Kenji Fukusaku died like a week into production, so his son took over,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was all right. It was okay, but I kind of like the first one better, honestly.
Yeah, the first one is a classic. It needs to stay what it is, and people just need, it's a brilliant concept, and you can do more with that idea. And it would
For
be
sure.
cool to see more survival-oriented movies like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the one I saw, Triggered. That was an amazing movie. Like
Yeah.
That's really
that
good.
was that was one that I would highly recommend. And I talked to the director about it, and he was like, I got this script, and I added some. I want to make it a little bit comical, so I added some pop references in this script. So if you guys see it, you're probably gonna see. If you guys get to see this movie, you're gonna see little like there's a character named Ezra, and he goes, "Are you better than me?" So you can pretty much take that content, better than Ezra the band. So
Yeah. Yes,
he
yes,
added
yes.
that little riff to it. But what's interesting is I mentioned the chemistry of the cast, because I know some of the cast members in Werewolf Game, they probably worked with each other at one point or another. But the 9 stars of Triggered never had worked with each other, and they ended up becoming best friends after shooting the movie, and they're still in touch with each other after like 4 years after this movie came out.
That's really sweet to hear too, because actually the everybody who played one of the villagers and the wolves, they're still in a group chat together called the Wolf Pack. So like they all still like keep in touch, and yeah, like the bonds that you make on set, particularly, I can only speak to this as my major feature experience, but um the bonds that you make on set when everybody is really down for the cause and is doing their best are so beautiful and profound. And we would have days where actors would be wrapped for the day and they would just stay just to vibe and support and hang out. And it
Yeah,
was so beautiful to see. So everybody like really like that working together and the camaraderie that formed was so awesome.
Yeah, I would love to know this because I'll tell you from what I heard on Triggered, but when you guys weren't shooting together, the cast, did they bond to offset, like did they go out and do stuff during like non-shooting days or whatnot that you know
Oh
of?
yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, we had the East Coast team. We'd rented a house in Glendale to sort of be our HQ for the shoot. So we had two of the other actors, Leon Joseph and MK McManus, who played Chris and Matt, and then myself. We were all in that house. And a lot of the end of like a shooting week when we had like a day off, like half the cast or more would like come over to the house and the crew too. And we would just kick it and hang out and like decompress together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because Triggered, the whole movie shot at night. It's shot throughout the course of one night, so all they had was night shoots. But
Mhm.
during the day, from what one of the actors told me, yeah, they ended up just going out and just bonding with each other.
Fine.
They would
Yeah.
go out and play laser tag. They would go out to a pub, stuff like that, just to
But,
decompress and get to know each other throughout, when
yeah.
they're not shooting. And this, I love hearing those stories that because let's just face it, if you watch an A-list ensemble cast, you could tell the chemistry is not there all the time. It kind of looks, it's kind of creepy-ish. But for indie films with ensemble casts, it tends to be a lot better because you can feel the chemistry there.
Yeah, the bonds are
Yeah.
really palpable.
Moments like that are half the reason why you do this as a filmmaker, is to get to live in that co-creation with people who all are really passionate, and it's a wonderful vibe. Like, we were raised on the Lord of the Rings documentary behind the scenes, and watching people play and like create together, and I think being able to like foster those experiences means the world to me and us.
That's awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see what comes next from you guys for sure. And everyone can now check out Werewolf Game. It's on digital, it's on demand. I highly recommend it. You guys check it out, especially if you're a Tony Todd fan, as this was one of his final films. Such a great movie. And like Jackie, Cara, you guys are awesome. You guys rock, hands down.
Thank
And I
you.
cannot wait to see what's next from you guys.
Thank you so much, Albert. Thanks for having us.
Have a good day.
All right, you guys take care.